The morning of September 11, 2001, it was a clear, sunny Tuesday morning in New York City, the kind of day that gives you hope and fills you with energy. As people commuted to work and children went to school, no one could have imagined that this ordinary day would soon turn into one of the darkest moments in American history. At 8:46 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center. The explosion was massive, sending debris flying and engulfing the upper floors in flames. Initially, people thought it was a tragic accident. News channels began to broadcast the event, and the world watched in horror. My uncle worked in the North Tower on the 92nd floor. He was always punctual, often arriving at his desk by 8:30 a.m. That morning, he called his wife just before the impact. "It's a beautiful day today," he said. Little did we know that would be his last conversation. At 9:03 a.m., as emergency responders and bystanders tried to make sense of the first crash, United Airlines Flight 175 slammed into the South Tower. The impact was caught live on television, turning what many hoped was an accident into a clear act of terrorism. The world stood still, paralyzed by the unimaginable horror unfolding in real time. My friend Lisa was in her office nearby. She recalled the moment vividly. "I saw the plane hit the tower, and it felt like time stopped. The noise was deafening, and the sky was filled with paper and ash. I couldn't believe my eyes." At 9:37 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 crashed into the Pentagon, the heart of the nation's military. The devastation was immense, adding to the chaos and fear already spreading across the country. Just 25 minutes later, at 10:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 93 crashed into a field in Pennsylvania. The passengers, having learned about the other attacks, bravely fought the hijackers, preventing another catastrophic strike, likely aimed at the White House or the Capitol. Tom Burnett, a passenger on Flight 93, called his wife 4 times during the hijacking. "We're going to do something," he told her. His courage, and that of the other passengers, became a symbol of resistance and bravery amid the terror. At 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapsed. It was a horrifying sight, a 110-story building crumbling to the ground, sending a massive cloud of dust and debris through the streets of Lower Manhattan. Just 29 minutes later, the North Tower followed. The iconic twin structures, symbols of American prosperity and power, were reduced to rubble. My uncle's office was in the North Tower. For hours, we hoped against hope that he had somehow made it out. We called his phone repeatedly, each unanswered ring tightening the knot of fear in our stomachs. It wasn't until days later that we received confirmation he was gone. The attacks left nearly 3,000 people dead and thousands more injured. The impact was not just physical, but emotional, leaving deep scars on the collective American psyche. The immediate aftermath was filled with chaos, confusion, and a desperate search for survivors. First responders worked tirelessly, many risking and losing their lives in the process. My cousin, a firefighter, was among the first responders. He worked non-stop for 48 hours, pulling people from the wreckage, his face blackened with soot and ash. He rarely talks about those days, but I can see the pain in his eyes every year when the anniversary comes around. In the days and weeks following the attacks, something remarkable happened. Amidst the grief and loss, there was a powerful sense of unity and resilience. People from all walks of life came together, offering support and solace to those affected. Candlelight vigils were held across the nation, and American flags adorned homes, cars, and businesses as symbols of solidarity. I remember attending a vigil in my hometown. Strangers held hands, shared tears, and lit candles in memory of the victims. In that moment of collective sorrow, there was also a profound sense of community and strength. We were hurt, but we were not broken. The 9/11 attacks had far-reaching consequences, changing the course of history. The United States launched the War on Terror, leading to military interventions in Afghanistan and Iraq. Security measures worldwide were heightened, and the way we travel, communicate, and live our lives was forever altered. My brother enlisted in the military shortly after the attacks. "I want to do my part," he said. His deployment to Afghanistan was fraught with danger, and each day we anxiously awaited news of his safety. He returned home a different person, carrying the invisible wounds of war. Maria Vasquez, a survivor from the South Tower, started a support group for other survivors and families of victims. "We need to heal together," she said. Her efforts helped many find a sense of closure and community in the years following the tragedy. My cousin owned a small cafe near the World Trade Center. The day after the attacks, he found his business covered in ash and debris, windows shattered, and the interior severely damaged. It took months to clean up and repair, and even longer for business to return to anything resembling normal. Despite the financial strain, he chose to rebuild, driven by a sense of duty to his community and a desire to contribute to the healing process. The 9/11 attacks led to sweeping changes in security and policy. The creation of the Department of Homeland Security and the implementation of the USA Patriot Act were direct responses to the need for greater coordination and intelligence sharing. Airport security was overhauled, leading to the establishment of the Transportation Security Administration, TSA. These measures, while controversial, were aimed at preventing future attacks and ensuring public safety. Traveling changed dramatically after 9/11. I remember the first time I flew post 9/11. The experience was entirely different. Security lines were longer, screenings more thorough, and there was an underlying tension among passengers. While these measures were necessary, they also served as a constant reminder of the new reality we lived in. My friend Ahmed, an American Muslim, faced unprecedented challenges after 9/11. Despite being a patriotic American, he was subjected to suspicion and prejudice. His business suffered, and he faced personal attacks. However, he chose to respond with love and education, working tirelessly to build bridges and promote understanding. His story is a testament to the fact that hate can only be overcome by compassion and dialogue. The recovery process from 9/11 has been long and arduous. For many, the physical and emotional scars remain. Survivors, first responders, and families of victims have had to navigate a complex path of grief, trauma, and healing. Mental health services and support groups have played a crucial role in helping people cope with the aftermath of the attacks. John, a firefighter who responded on 9/11, has faced numerous health issues related to his exposure to the toxic dust and debris. He developed chronic respiratory problems and has struggled with PTSD. Yet, through the support of his family, friends, and fellow first responders, he has found a way to move forward. His story is one of countless others who continue to deal with the long-term effects of that day. In the face of such overwhelming tragedy, stories of heroism and kindness emerged. From the firefighters and police officers who risked their lives to save others, to the ordinary citizens who provided food, shelter, and support, these acts of bravery and generosity highlighted the best of humanity. One particularly moving story is that of Wells Crowther, known as the Man in the Red Bandana. A volunteer firefighter working in the South Tower, Wells helped numerous people escape the building before it collapsed, ultimately sacrificing his own life. His red bandana, which he used to cover his face from smoke and dust, became a symbol of his heroism. His story, discovered months later by his family, has inspired many and serves as a powerful reminder of the selflessness shown that day. My friend, a diplomat, shared how the attacks changed his work. Suddenly, there was a new urgency in our efforts to foster international cooperation against terrorism, he said. The world seemed both smaller and more fragile, and our mission took on new significance. Educating future generations about the events of 9/11 is crucial. Schools across the United States and the world have incorporated the history and lessons of 9/11 into their curricula. Through documentaries, literature, and survivor stories, young people learn about the resilience and strength demonstrated in the face of adversity. As a teacher, I make it a point to discuss 9/11 with my students every year. I share personal stories, show documentaries, and encourage them to ask questions. It's important that they understand not just the tragedy, but also the incredible acts of kindness and bravery that followed. By keeping the memory alive, we ensure that the lessons of 9/11 are never forgotten. Technology played a significant role during and after the 9/11 attacks. From the initial news coverage that brought the events into homes worldwide, to the communication tools that helped families stay in touch, technology was both a witness and a lifeline. In the years since, advancements in technology have continued to shape how we remember and learn from 9/11. My nephew, a software developer, worked on a project that used virtual reality to create an immersive experience of the 9/11 memorial. It's a way to help people connect with the history on a deeper level, he explained. By using technology, we can preserve the memories and stories in a way that is accessible to everyone. In the years since 9/11, the world has changed in countless ways. Security measures have increased, international relations have shifted, and the threat of terrorism remains a global concern. Yet, amidst all the changes, the legacy of that day endures. It serves as a reminder of both the fragility and strength of the human spirit.